Working outside of cooperative, I had no control, right? I didn't have no power of when I went to work, how much I made, what money I put in, what money I could take out, but now I can. So it's totally different.
So here we have a proof of concept, worker cooperatives actually making a difference in people's lives during the pandemic and faring fairly well through it. I'm going to leave a link to the Real News Network, who did this reporting. They do a great job all the time, man. So you'll find that in the description. But yeah, let's go through this and come on the other side and talk about it.
As a nationwide worker shortage presses on,
businesses are facing a worker shortage.
Is there a worker shortage, or is there a shortage of jobs with fair pay and decent working conditions in frontline industries? Worker-owned and run cooperatives offer a glimpse of what work can look like when businesses are controlled democratically and employees get a share of the profits.
We work as well as own this company, and we designed it to what would work for us, what would make it not feel like a job when we come into this environment versus actually being at a job with somebody ruling and watching over you.
Those clamoring over the so-called worker shortage seemingly ignore that frontline workers risk their lives to provide essential services, often for low wages, while pandemic profiteers saw their wealth skyrocket.
The combined wealth of the 657 billionaires in the country grew more than $1.3 trillion, nearly 45% since the pandemic began.
Workers rarely get an adequate share of the wealth their labor creates. In 2020, the median salary at Amazon was under $30,000, while its founder, Jeff Bezos, made hundreds of times that, over $13 million every hour. Under the radar, the small but growing sector of worker-run co-ops, part of the larger cooperative ecosystem, is demonstrating that you don't need bosses. Workers can be successful if granted the necessary power and resources. The vast majority of rich corporations and CEOs built their fortunes on inherited wealth and privilege, but co-ops have limited access to capital. Worker owners tend to be women and people of color, and from communities that have been denied wealth-building opportunities. Despite these challenges, worker co-ops have proved resilient in weathering COVID-19.
Working outside of cooperative, I had no control, right? I didn't have no power of when I went to work, how much I made, what money I put in, what money I could take out, but now I can. So it's totally different.
When the pandemic hit, worker-run businesses prioritized the needs of their employees over profits.
When COVID-19 hit, it was a surprise to everyone. But cooperative made sure we had our PPE, N95 masks, our surgical masks, gloves, soap, sanitizing, thermometers, and they made sure that we was known that we was important. Working with cooperative have opened my eyes, and I'm happy. I'm not just putting on a uniform or putting on an outfit and going into work doing a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 1 and miserable. I'm happy. So it's a difference.
So yeah, as you can see, man, cooperatives are definitely the way to go if you want to actually get some power over your own life, and that is the purpose of it. I'll tell you, I got a story for y'all that that illustrates, you know, the how power gives you a seat at the table, right? And this is a real world example, right? So I was managing a restaurant on 6th Street, and the owner one day, I was talking to the owner of this restaurant about the homeless situation in Austin, because, you know, if you know me, you know I'm talking about something like that, you know, and he had mentioned to me in passing that he was like, "Oh yeah, man, it's funny you said that. Like last week, me and a bunch of the other owners on 6th Street, we all had a meeting with the mayor of Austin not too long ago, right? This is a couple years ago this happened, right? And if you think about the implications of what he said, right, you know what I'm saying, like literally because they are owners of the business, right, you know what I'm saying, their equity gave them a literal seat at the table. This is a real world, this actually happened, right, you know what I'm saying? Now imagine, yeah, and this is real world stuff, right? And I'm probably the only person that worked in this business establishment other than maybe the GM. Maybe they had to talk about it in passing, but I'm guarantee you he didn't tell any of the other employees. Nobody else knew, and nobody else's opinion mattered, right? You know what I'm saying? The mayor didn't come to the you know, saying the people and was like, hey, what do y'all think we should do about the homeless issue? You want, you know, saying like, and if you think about it, it's almost like the owners have two voices, right? You know, saying they have, because everybody has, you know, voice one, you know, you have a Democratic, you have your voice, right? But also the mayor, you know, requests like, you know, what do you think we should do about this, Mr., you know, business owner? That's because his voice represents your voice, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you work for him, what he wants automatically means what you want is automatically what he wants, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with, you know what I'm saying, that top-down system, right? You know what I'm saying? That's literally, there's power in his equity, you know what I'm saying? And if all those businesses, if all these restaurants or bars on 6th Street were worker cooperatives, then he would have to go there and as a liaison for you for real. Like, you know what I'm saying, there would have to be a democratic, you know, conversation about, like, he'd have to let you know, hey man, the mayor, you know what I'm saying, wants to have a conversation with us, you know, about the homeless issue. What do you know, let's get everybody's opinion. Let's, you know, get a good consensus of what we need to talk about and then bring this to him. You get what I'm saying? That's actual, and that's politics, right? You know what I'm saying? You see how quickly, you know, that actually ties right back into elected politics. And that's why I you know, that's why I'm going to, you know, reiterate again. I think elected politics is very important. Matter of fact, it's so important. I understand that, you know, there's no changing that, you know what I mean? Like they've got it on lock, kind of like I said, there's no reforming the police. You know, there's no reforming elected politics. You got to go to the root of the issue, which is, we all agree, oh, money in politics is the problem. We're not getting money out of politics. You have to take away the money from people of power who are manipulating our politics. And you go straight to the root of the problem, right? You know what I'm saying? The ownership. We need to, you know what I'm saying, stop slaving away for these people, bro. Stop working, making other people rich, getting, you know, just filling other people's pockets, bro, and actually do for self, right? You know what I'm saying? And we can do it together. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to, you know, go through this alone. You know, like I said, this co-op right here, man, you know what I'm saying? All it takes in the state of Texas, 5 people get together, you know what I mean? Send out the paperwork, you know, get your co-op going, right? You know what I'm saying? You can start a co-op in your community, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, the goal of Marty and the Breaux is to actually, you know, popularize the idea of cooperatives. An example is like, you know, if I had a following like Jimmy Dore, right? You know, what I would do, I would literally, like he does his live shows, I would go to your community. I would go to your city, state, and be like, hey, you know, we gonna try and get a cooperative started right here. You get a cooperative, and you get a cooperative, and you get a you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like there's you know, it's a lot bigger and a lot more strategic than people think, right? This is decentralizing the power, you know what I mean? And another example, like what I would try and do is, you know, go to a community, you know what I'm saying, imagine if you live in an apartment complex. Imagine if your whole apartment complex finally decided to look at each other and was like, hey, y'all, look, the only reason our rent's this high is because there are owners who have a profit margin, right? You know what I'm saying? Really, if you owned your house, right, all you're paying for is basically overhead. It's your place to stay. You got to pay for, you know, the electricity, the lights, you know what I'm saying, and the taxes and any maintenance or anything like that. Same thing if the apartment complex started turning into a cooperative, right? If you had a cooperatively owned apartment complex, everybody who lived there would be able to, you know what I'm saying, the rent would go down drastically because, you know, you're just covering the overhead, right? You know what I'm saying? That's all. The rest of the pricing on your rent is for the people who own it to make profits to go in their pockets, right? There doesn't have to be a profit margin in there. Get what I'm saying? And everybody can decide, right? You know what I'm saying? You all can get together and decide like, hey man, you know, this is all looking good. You know what I'm saying? Our rents went from $1,100 under this guy. Now we cooperatively own it. Maybe you can drop them down to, you know what I'm saying, $800 or something, right? You know what I'm saying? Collectively. You can all look at each other and be like, hey, we've had the rent down here for a while. It's all good and cool, but you know what I'm saying, how about we do some upgrades to the apartments? How about if we can raise all of each other's rents, you know what I'm saying? We can raise the rent $100 for everybody, save up, and we can actually get these, you know, pay for upgrades to everybody's units and blah blah. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's a different way we can structure society. Or you can even say, you know, saying, hey, you know, everybody pay, you know, we can up everybody's rent $100. Then we can find a lady in the apartment complex. Like, imagine if there's like slightly disabled lady, or, you know what I'm saying, and start a cooperative child care center within the apartment complex, you know, and just kind of co-opception that, you know, there's a way to do this, right? You know what I'm saying? And it all starts with ownership, you know what I'm saying? Like, and actually getting power over your lives, right? So yeah, man, the Real News Network, man. I'm doing some real good work out there again, man, with everything. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, man. Again, make sure you all, check out martyandthebro.com, check out the cooperative, because our goal here at Marty and the Bro is to popularize the idea of cooperatives, right? And that way, if we had donations, like if we had people donating to us where we can, what the goal is to build a separate coffer and actually, kind of within the cooperative members actually have like a Kickstarter style system for just the co-op members to decide, like, hey, submit your cooperative ideas here, and you all decide, the literally the consumer members of the cooperative decide where you would want to, start building cooperatives and what community, what needs it more, and this, that, and the other, and actually, be able to democratically decide between yourselves, like without, input from the worker owner side of the cooperative, what to do with that, right? And yeah, man, we have some real big ideas on how to actually, give back to the community for real, and not just because, like, another problem with, media in general, the left media specifically, I've noticed is, like, to me, it's kind of like, I don't know if y'all remember this. It's like that episode of Black Mirror where that guy, hold on, let me find this episode of Black Mirror. So this is what the media reminds me of. I don't know if you remember this episode from Black Mirror, 15 Million Merits. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out, man. But yeah, this is the one where, the guy goes through, he's living in like this weird, like, this dystopian, society. Long story short, I don't even feel like trying to, I don't even know if I can actually summarize this stuff. By the end, though, it ends up with him actually, instead of usurping the system, actually, he's just another mouthpiece of the system. Like, at the end, remember, he was like holding knife up to his neck, and he was like, going crazy. And then it turns out that he was actually co-opted, right? Like, you should just watch the show, and then actually, if you haven't seen it, and if you do, watch it again if you don't get the analogy between what the left is doing and, this episode. It's just, they're just, manufacturing consent for, propaganda, they're just pointing at the problem, but not actually, giving real life solutions to actually get change. You know what I mean? And thus keep perpetuating the problem as it is, instead of actually changing the system, changing the way things are. Right. So, I think the way to do that, like I said, ownership, man, like that's where it starts, in ownership. So yeah, man, hopefully I'll like that, make sure, like I said, join the co-op, check it out. You know what I mean? Let's try to get some real change out here, man, and power to the people. Yo, you like what you just saw? Make sure you like, share, subscribe, so the algorithms can algorithm or whatever sorcery they do. Follow us on our socials, links all down in the description, and let's keep rocking.